Absolutely. Anyway, we do have the first ban champion coming down, which will be Evelyn coming out from Team Property. And then we are waiting and taking our time with the next ban from Alternate.
Yeah, it's going to be Jax, which we've seen a bunch of times today. Normally against Alex, though. So it's quite interesting that, again, Alternate are going to be saying, nope, we don't want to play against Jax. Obviously, Doris, their top lane that played Trundle, I believe, in the previous game, yourself and Stress casted. Went 0-5, didn't have the greatest of games. But hopefully, from his perspective, he steps up a bit.
It was definitely unfortunate circumstances, and for Team Property, they need a win here to have a chance of progressing, and they also need to take down NIP at the end of the day, which is no small feat right here, Metas. It's definitely a mountain to climb for the team of Team Property. So not only are Alternates playing for their pride, they're also playing to keep Property down.
That's very true. If Property do end up winning this game, and the next one will have 3 teams on 2-1. So we would have a bunch of more League of Legends coming up this evening. Seems to me that Property are taking quite a long time to get their bans out, so clearly deep in thought.
This is absolutely a slow banning phase compared to what we've had before. Usually teams are confident with what bans they want before heading into Champion Select, but they're definitely waiting it out this time, and gives them more time to strategize as well about their own picks, how they want this game to go, and all the rest of it. So Cast and Kale with the next 2 bans coming down, LeBlanc as well, so very mid-centric. Kale can be top lane, can even be jungle from what we've seen previously in this tournament, and of course Brom will find himself banned out of this game.
No huge surprise. What's more of a surprise to me, though, is that NIP got in 2 games in a row earlier on, so let's see if that carries on into their 3rd game against Team Property. First lock-in, though, is very quick, and it's going to be Ziggs.
It will be, and a lot of time we've seen quite a few Ziggs bans over the tournament, but this is one of the first times we've seen him first picked. Usually it's been the Braum and then the Lucian in response, but it is going to be some quick fire pickups of Shyvana and Lee's most likely thrown in the jungle. Don't really see that champion elsewhere. Shyvana can be in twin roles, and Team Property once again just hovering over champions they may not necessarily pick, trying to get that Teemo hype going.
As you can see that, focusing on the audience, who have been great all day. And Team Property, probably the crowd favourites at the moment, being Swedish Org and Team as well. Battled all the way through the BYOC, only 1 spot up for grabs. They knocked out a lot of teams to get that position. So they're going to want to go home here. With their heads held high, they're going to want to go through to the set playoffs, even through to the later stages.
Honestly, they can already do that, Metas, having gone all the way through the BYOC tournament, but this would be just another notch on their belt at this point, I feel. And the next couple picks have come through, again taking a lot of time even with their picks right here. They have solidified Lucian, will also be followed by Morgana, which we did see earlier today as kind of another hard counter to Braum, but definitely make his life a little bit harder.
I'd be very surprised if after the Morgana pick they went for an Ashe. To me, that sounds a bit counterintuitive, that, you know, Black Shield is just like, nope, that arrow is not going to be affecting us just yet. It's a AD carry that we've not actually seen in this tournament as well. It seems to have always been Twitch and Lucian if they're available, and this time around Twitch actually is available to pick.
He is, and we actually saw in the last 2 games, that Caitlyn was picked up instead of Twitch. So we may have a Caitlyn pickup here, especially against the Lucian. Varus would be interesting, but he's sort of swapping through all the AD carries, and if your name is Freeze, then you might be looking towards the Draven as well. Not sure if that's part of Sunny's arsenal, but we do know Caitlyn is part of his arsenal because he used it earlier today. So that might be on the cards for him. Hovering over the Zyra, which was, again, also used by Alternate, I believe. They had that on Bonaparte. They had the Caitlyn Zyra. That might be their choice heading into this game, and history will not repeat itself. Hello, Jinx. First time we've seen that this tournament.
Absolutely, and we saw last time around as well that Snow picked Zyra for his team. It ended up being support, so I would expect to see it in the support role once again. They're leaving their mid. Well, I'm assuming it's going to be leaving their mid to last. Of course, Zyra can be played in mid, it's not completely unheard of. Not necessarily the top tier though. And now back over to Team Property, who are hovering over Trundle. We did mention this previously, that Doris played Trundle last game. Wasn't a great one. Got pretty badly beaten in lane. A lot of that was down to the jungle ganking though.
Yeah, that's true. It was a very difficult position to get out of once he was already in it, so can't really put too much blame on the pick or even the player. It was just how the game went. It was just difficult to recover from. But hovering over the Lee Sin, swapping through some of the other junglers. We have seen Vi show her face during this tournament, have seen some Lee Sin as well. to either of those. Very possible could be coming into this game, but Irelia, a very solid top laner pick, will be thrown into the mix.
Yeah, absolutely, and actually was against Irelia in the last game when he was struggling, so maybe just wanted to lock that one down for himself. Vi's a very good pick as well. It's twofold. One, it's a strong jungler. Two, it's incredibly good against immobile AD carries, which Jinx certainly is, unless she gets herself excited with an assist or indeed a kill. So you could definitely watch Vi coming in there, probably having a bit of fun in the players area on the stage.
That's important. Keeping morale high in a situation like this, that's extremely important. And if someone on your team is super happy to be here, super happy with the team, then morale doesn't go down, and you keep up the performance for the rest of the game. Even if you're 10k behind, you can still make a comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing as well is, these guys came through the Bring Your Own Computer tournament, so they're already winners in a way. They've already won that tournament on its own, so anything from here surely is a bonus. Of course, they want to go through to the finals and claim themselves the prize money, but right now, as you can see, they're playing for fun. They're all laughing amongst themselves. They've already lost the game, but they're not letting that faze them.
Absolutely. So what can we see about these compositions? So Jinx is a new pick coming out here, Metas. How's that going to work against a Lucian, which is just pretty much a mainstay at the moment? You see Lucian pretty much every game with the Twitch, but what's the reason really for picking Jinx over Twitch, do you think?
For me, it's Morgana. It's the idea of Twitch is going to have pretty much his Contaminate blocked out from the shield, and on top of that as well, if Morgana lands a Dark Binding on Twitch, he's going to get locked down and they can just pop the sweeper down afterwards. So it's a case of completely shutting him out of the laning phase. Plus the fact as well, another thing to take into account is maybe Sonny just prefers Jinx straight up.
Yeah.
Just because Twitch happens to be top tier right now, it doesn't mean that every AD carry wants to instantly play him. He also had the opportunity last game to play Twitch, pick Caitlyn. So clearly maybe he's just not that comfortable on the champion to start with.
And if you're better at Jinx than you are with Lucian, then there's no reason to go down that route, but that is what they are going to be doing. And Nidalee as well for Snow in the mid lane, and Nidalee has been used to great effect in the last couple of weeks. Those high damage spears can be very difficult to play against pretty much all stages in the game.
Now I'm interested, Pulse. It's focusing on the crowd right now. I want to see where the crowd's loyalties lay here. So if you guys are hoping that Alternate are going to come out victorious here, make some noise.
Oh, there's a couple of people down there.
A few people. I have a feeling it's going to change here. So if you guys are hoping for Property to go 1-1, let me hear you.
Significantly.
A lot more.
Yeah. The home crowd definitely behind them here, Meadows.
I think that is a fair statement to make. So we are going to be on the Rift very, very shortly. We are obviously trying to fill in time for the 3-minute delay because we are on West. I think we're moving to Tournament Realm tomorrow, I have been informed. So that shouldn't be an issue there. But let's have a look at these compositions then. Across the board, is anything standing out to you?
There's nothing out of the ordinary. Maybe you could say the Jinx is the sore thumb in the mix, but apart from that, not really. There's nothing out of the ordinary. You've still got the synergy coming in. You have the long-range poke, pretty good disengage, I would say, from the team of Alternate. The long-range spears, followed by like the grasping roots and also the stranglethorns, can be great tools coming into this game, getting away from fights or even engaging as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did see as well that Bonaparte played Zyra in the previous game as well. The previous game that Alternate went for. And it wasn't brilliant, but he definitely wasn't the reason why bot lane ended up being beaten the way they did. It was just jungle. And maybe that's more towards ward coverage than it is the actual champion itself. They have to be on top of that. We have mentioned also for Property in the previous game when you and Stress were casting that there's a few times that Vardags was pushing through mid without any ward coverage to his left or his right, and he got caught twice, and that's ultimately one of the contributing factors as to why they ended up losing that game in the end.
Yeah, it's small losses, and that comes from every player. It doesn't just necessarily come from one playmaker or any individual player. And we saw the Trundle go 0-5, but again, that was not the singular reason. Irelia, yes, did a lot of work in that game, but the rest of the team was also strong. All the lanes came through for them.
Yeah, that is a very, very good point. So I think we're only a matter of seconds away from actually jumping onto the Rift here. Paul's predictions. Where do you see this one falling down?
Well, I called the end faculty the other day, and I believe I was right with that, so I may just stick with the 100% win rate when it comes to predictions.
Oh, you're not? You're not going to go on the fence, are you?
I am.
Oh,
I can't call
dude.
it. It's too close. It's too close coming into this.
Stress over there just shaking his head. So disappointed. I'm going to go for Property. I think Property are going to win this game.
You know what, then? I'm going to sit on the other side of the fence. I'm going to go with Alternate. I think Alternate have this one.
Check this badass out. So we are on to the Rift right now, ladies and gents. You're going to see that on your screen in the next few moments. Team Property facing off against Alternate. Alternate are already eliminated from the tournament. Whatever happens, they cannot go through. Whereas Property need to win the next 2 games to tie it up a 3-way between themselves, NIP, and of course the third team. What's the third team? Go on. Putting on the spot.
Don't put me on the spot, Messes. Just because you can't remember it doesn't mean I will remember it as well. But yeah, we will have a tie coming out, and that will mean that we'll have more games to go on through the rest of the day. So we will have more action.
Oh, but Reason. Of course, Reason.
Reason.
Yeah.
That's exactly what, we were going to say. Right? Yeah. 100%. So, everyone chilling. Just kind of a dance party right at the moment in the top bush from Alternate. One's out of the bush, and Phantom Joe finds out Doris. But no real aggression. In fact, we haven't had very much aggression all of this tournament. Really, at the very start in the first couple matches, we had some level 1 fights, but other than that, it's been fairly quiet.
Yeah, and there's been some really explosive games, though, today as well, Pulse, that some of them have kind of snowballed from the very early game, and I'm looking at the matchup there where I believe it was Reason went into the bush from NIP, Braum was being played, and Void landed like his full combo and chunked him down so far he had to recall. That was Lucian at the time. So we have seen plenty of these kind of plays determine the pace of the game very early on. And I think that's one of the main reasons why you can see that Alternate, they're hiding in this bush. They may very well go for that late invade because you can see the pings coming down.
Very possible. The ward has now just timed out. Those are available from 30 seconds into the game compared to what it was 2 minutes a couple patches ago. Doris and Shadow, or rather Shaka, I have good eyesight, will be seeing out the invade from Alternate. They will be going towards this one, so taking away the blue buff, but they will see Property head down into their respective lanes, and what are they looking to do? They'll be taking away the blue buff as well to try and switch it up. So are they going to maintain that control and try and take the third buff away, which will cause these players to be behind in their own lane just to get the jungler rolling?
So the declaration of intent from Team Property is they want Jinx to get some free farm and then progress through into the mid stages of the game where she really does start to excel. They don't want to have to deal with Morgana Lucian. It is probably a lane matchup that doesn't favor Jinx a great deal. So this is going to put Shyvana. In fact, it's not going to be Shyvana. Yeah, it is going to be Shyvana. I should trust my gut instinct. In the 1v2, which typically doesn't do too terrible in. There's worse 1v2 laners out there, but isn't going to get as much farm as maybe he'd like.
It's not the best, but you can max out Flame Breath, so at least you do have something you can do to farm from range. And, well, I just saw Snow stand still and take many skill shots to the face, and I'm going to assume that's the reason why we're in a pause. So I think he may be having some issues, which is why he was standing still just for a split second there, Metas.
Yeah, I'm sure we will get some information very shortly from production, so we can let you know exactly what the deal is right now. But it's not the first pause we've had so far in this tournament.
And it won't be the last.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I was kind of reserved to say it.
Yeah, well, it may not happen, and we can be optimistic, but the sentence flowed nicely, so I went with it.
Yeah, this is also on the flip side as well. You know, we mentioned Shyvana in 1v2. It's going to put Irelia in a 1v2 as well. So Doris is going to have his work cut out for him. For some reason, whenever I read Doris, I want to say her. Because I just imagine this 80-year-old woman. That's not a sentence I thought I was going to say when I woke up this morning, I'm going to be honest. But let's just go with it anyway. But it's not the most masculine of names.
That's true, yeah. I don't know about the rest of them, though, because are they really male or are they female? Because now we're getting into what does the name say? Like, Stress has definitely got to be female, right?
Right. Sorry, I'm kind of sidetracked because we're trying to find out what's going on.
Yeah,
and
we're just trying to relay the information to you, and at the same time, we're kind of just dribbling, which is...
That's also true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently, we are going to be jumping back to us shortly. So you're going to have us to fill in more time.
Lovely. You know, our faces are very distracting.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm hearing game sounds, so I'm going to assume
well, then.
We're not doing that.
I'm going to blame Stress.
Yep. Like, he is the only extraneous variable here, so therefore, it's Stress.
Because he's doing like these finger movements and trying sign language, and I'm like trying to decipher it.
Yeah, it's probably like electromagnetic waves or something that he's like doing.
I'm just going to agree, because I have no idea what you just said. But regardless, all I know is that they're pushing bot lane, both Vardags and also Flumis. It's been a long day, Pulse.
Absolutely.
I think you're actually losing your marbles a bit there, mate.
Very possible. It's spreading across the desk, but what is spreading is alternate map control.
You what, mate?
Don't ask.
Either way, 4-man push at top.
Yeah, and they should be able to take this down very quickly, and this is kind of one of the first times we've seen a very, very fast push for a couple patches, honestly.
Yeah, they are going to be taking down this tower very quickly, although look at this Team Property, credit to them, they are reacting very quickly, and they will be picking up this dragon, but we spoke about this yesterday as well. It's a respawnable objective versus a destroyed and non-respawnable objective, so in that case, you got to say that alternate are coming out slightly ahead.
And do Property value that more? Because this is something N Faculty did really well from Group B. They controlled all the objectives, and okay, they didn't manage to get the objectives that were towers, but Dragons went their way, and that also converted into Barons as well. They were just on point with those timers. That's something we haven't really seen from any other team, in like immaculate control over Dragons and Barons.
Yep, so mid lane, Nidalee and Ziggs, we don't really mention that much in the picks and bans. We were more focused towards the bottom lane, but where do you see this one going? I mean, I'm personally just going to assume it's going to be a farming fest.
Pretty much. Nidalee will not have any kill potential pre-6, and Ziggs will just be a nuisance, basically. In the mid lane, sometimes you have the melee mid laners like Yasuo, and then the auto attacks can be annoying from Nidalee, but Ziggs will definitely win out in the poke wall. Because of the healing as well from Snow, it's unlikely we'll necessarily get a kill unless Nidalee is pushing out, but it's Ziggs, so therefore he like usually pushes. And then you have the satchel charge to get to safety, but Shaka has been caught out by Bonaparte, and the Flame Chompers come across the wall as well. Phantom Joe and Nightmare just follow up, and everyone just walks out. But we still have the 3-man stack in the top lane, and they are still pushing away. Do we have anyone mobilizing to stop them?
Just like Relia at the moment, with Vi having to burn Flash just to escape, there's no chance that she's going to come back in to try and stop this onslaught. So this will be another objective, going down to alternate, completely destroying the top lane. And this is red alarm bells ringing already for Team Property. They have to try and do something, and if you look across the board, they're not even pushing other towers.
And something that we haven't mentioned yet about Jinx is she pushes towers so quickly. Yeah. So they were clearly looking to do this coming into the match, and it's just Team Property not really adapting to the situation. And that has caused them to lose 2 towers and in a turret at 6 minutes.
That's a very good point, and one that we probably should have picked up on in the champion select as well. We're talking about why they didn't pick Twitch. Well, clearly they just wanted to go straight for these tower pushes at top, or bottom, or wherever the case may have been, depending on where the enemy team reacted. But as you say, with the Q, with the minigun stacks that you get on Jinx, she can just rip through towers so incredibly fast. Already has enough for a BF sword as well, so looking like they're going to go down to bot lane now and just try and push that through too.
This is a team who is very good at sieging. You have Jinx, when you get in range, will just rip apart a turret, shred it down. You have Bonaparte able to zone people away with the grass and roots and those plants. And then you have the Nidalee spears, which is the main clencher when it comes into the tower sieges. The spears will be able to keep people away, zone them away. And if they need a front line, well, they have Shyvana and they have Elise. It's a very well thought out composition.
It certainly is. I want to see how Nidalee factors in later on we go. Obviously, everyone knows about the spears. They're crazy strong, very irritating to play against. And they've also got a Morgana on the other side. So you have to assume that, you know, Flumis, if he's quick enough reaction-wise, which I'm sure he is, can just black shield them out and negate most of the damage. So, again, it's going to be at this kind of toing and froing. Right now, though, alternate seem to be pretty much laying down the law.
And even though it's 0-0, surprisingly we've had a lot of action, which is a statement that you can't say too often, but 2 towers going down already. Gold disparity already opening up, and you can see that already in the gold totals. The bot lane, Sunny is getting punished by Vardags, definitely being out-traded, and that's the strength of Lucian. Exactly,
that is in a nutshell the strength. And on top of that as well, Dragon. Dragon has also been picked up early on in this game. So Team Property's only objective. Nidalee's going to be picking up the blue buff right now. Shyvana will give that across. Dark Binding not quite landing at the bot. Let's have a look. With all this action that's been ensuing from Alternate pushing the two top towers, Irelia does have a CS advantage over double the CS, but really that's nothing to write home about, and that definitely doesn't make up for the two towers lost.
Indeed. So we haven't really paid too much attention to the mid lane because we said it was going to be, you know, fairly neutral. Too much going to be happening in the mid lane, but because we had that fast push, we haven't had any real interaction between Irelia and Shyvana. So that matchup never really happened, and as a result, Irelia is going to be way far ahead in terms of CS. And while they have those two towers, Shyvana's suffering.
Yeah, mid lane pretty much just got their tractors out playing Farming Simulator 2014. Like, no, I'm not expecting to see a great deal unless a really successful flurry of ganks come down, because remember, Nidalee's now level 6, so Cougar form is a very slippery thing to lock down. And on top of that, satchel charge from Ziggs is similarly very hard to get a kill onto, so that's exactly what's been happening. 84 to 82, pretty much nothing to separate them. Looks like we could have some action at bot lane.
Indeed, everyone is stacking up here looking for the gank, and Vardags and Flumis have no idea what's around the corner. Zap lands and Vardags was and is within kill range. However, the jungler is hanging around. That's going to be Vi, so if everything does go to hell, then they will be at least 3 versus 4. Oh, Nightmare just walks from the bush, and Phantom Joe recalls.
Yeah, realizing it might not be worth the wait, and instead want to push those towers once again, get the 4-man push in effect, because Irelia's at top, does have a teleport. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb on top of the creeps, so it's going to be clearing that one out, and also stopping them from tower diving afterwards, because Sunny got hit pretty hard. They will be backing on away.
Sunny did take a large hit. At least means that the next wave, if they decide to stand around, will at least mean it have one more wave. But no, everyone decides to recall from Alternate, so that wasn't on the cards for them. So that great Ziggs bomb, the global or semi-global map pressure, kind of bring the same sort of thing as Twisted Fate in a different way, in a different package. That will be Ziggs in the mid lane. Top lane, Phantom Joe decides to teleport up. He wasn't too tagged by the Ziggs bomb, we'll just carry on farming.
Yeah, and Irelia is actually going to be recalling as well. Has enough for a Sheen and the components of a Phage with the Ruby Crystal. So that farm now, we're talking about it before, about over double. Still the case. 62 farm on Irelia, and they do need to keep a check on that, because it's all well and good when it's about 30 to 15 CS, but if Irelia starts to get free farm and starts to get snowballing, that's a whole different story, as we've seen previously today. Shaka has been tagged up severely from both Bonaparte, and also Jinx has to flash away with Ignite on him. That was so close to death. And now they're still attacking the Dragon. Vi flashing up red's not going to play any further part on this one. And actually turning it back around onto Snow.
And Snow is not in good shape. We had the teleport down from Doris, and Sunny is behind, but they don't quite go for the fight. Now they're collapsing in. This could be really dicey for the team of Property. Snow did try and follow up, but didn't really find its mark, and Sunny will be locked down by the binding as well. Flumis just taking some hits, and they're just really poking each other away. Property are very significantly split in this fight though.
And somehow with all this action, we have 200 goal difference and no kills at 11.5 minutes. That for me is the biggest surprise of this game thus far. By the looks of things, that may very well continue for the next few minutes too, because players across the board are starting to back away, even recalling in the case of Nightmare. Wants to go ahead and pick up some more items.
It's not been a slow game either though. There's been power punches, there's been potential ganks, there's now a dragon going down, which will inevitably be going to Team Property. And after Alternate actually basically winning out that fight, they all went back and said, alright, job done guys, that's a day's work well done. And then just lost the dragon, which was a little strange. And the flash comes down from Sunny. That was another Summon the Spell burn. That was very curious from Alternate. That was a slip in concentration.
That's exactly what it was, because they had that bush warded. They saw Vi coming and still kind of fell for it. So that is going to be, as you said, a flash expended from Jinx, which makes her a lot more vulnerable going forward. So Sunny's going to have to position perfectly. But again, we're just back to the good old farming. And Irelia is still pretty far ahead of Shyvana.
He is, and that has all stemmed off them picking those two original turrets, but he's just been freezing. He's had no real reason to push out. The one time it did hit the turret, okay, he was there to pick it up, but there's 2 waves, and now you're back to just, you know, grasping at scraps from both the jungle and mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. But where's the deadlock going to be broken here, Pulse? Because something has to give. Whenever you have farming of this kind of magnitude, of this kind of scale, and this long length as well, at some point it has to buckle. Something has to give in. Because you're already seeing that the junglers are trying to get as involved as possible, but nothing's quite paid off yet.
Where is that melting point? That's the question, and the answer to the game we saw yesterday was around 30 minutes. That was how long it took. Snowball goes over the wall and is trying to take away the blue buff, but it will be smited away by Nightmare, so they come away with a good invade and they get themselves a buff, so denying that from Ziggs, which is fairly important if he didn't have enough Fiends and Holy Grail, so he's already good to go because he's had so long to farm. He's okay in the mana department, but he would like the cooldowns.
Yeah, that is certainly going to hurt a tiny bit, but as you said, should be good to go. Ardax has been, again, he's getting harassed every now and again from Sunny, but it's nothing to really keep him out of the farming, and you can see he has accumulated a bit of a CS advantage now. It's about 17 in his favor, but here comes the Assault and Battery, and also the Strangled Thorns. This is going to be first blood. Sunny falls down, Morgana gets that one, and they get the second kill as well on Vardax.
Yeah, but Bonaparte just knew what was going to happen. Decides just to stand there and take it and try and get some farm on the way out. So 2 kills plus the first blood goes to Team Property, but that does not even up when it comes to talents, but apparently in gold it does. They've just been out farming them, and they've gotten the dragon.
Yep, they have certainly got, in fact, both dragons, because they picked a dragon up when the top tower was being pushed initially, and then they got the second one once it respawned. So gold, as you said, is falling into place, and even the top lane has took a bit of a battering from them. As soon as the top towers start to fall in the opposite direction, they're going to just get further and further ahead in terms of gold unless something big happens. So they're going to be happy with how this is going right now. 154 farm on Ziggs, 156 on Nidalee, so definitely living up to that farming hype in mid.
Yeah, and following the initial kind of domino effect from Alternate, where they picked up the 2 initial towers, haven't really done anything proactive metas. They went after the dragon, they kind of pushed people away from it, and then following that, it was just Property denying them that. That's some interesting music going on in the venue right now.
I think that's Celine Dion's The Heart Will Go On flute rendition.
It is indeed.
I can hear that. Or is it recorder? I'm not sure.
Recorder,
but, it's quite beautiful.
Quite loud as well. And now we get to enjoy it because we have a pause.
It's so good they pause to listen.
Yeah.
That's the only explanation I can think of right now.
It's gotta be. If we weren't on a 3-minute delay, then, you know, but maybe they were waiting for it. They were doing it for the casters and they were doing it for the audience. They knew in 3 minutes time.
Sonny has to leave to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Apparently.
His heart will go on.
Nice. Well, either way, let's take stock of this game. It's easy to get distracted, especially in games where not a great deal's happen in terms of kills, but as you said before, if you go deeper, actually, a hell of a lot has happened. Both teams outmaneuvering one another. You've got Alternate, who've pushed both the top towers. Property have reacted with 2 dragons of their own. And they also got double kill as well at bot lane, which was one apiece from Morgana and also Lucian. Sonny has just reconnected.
He has returned.
That recorder, though.
That is... oh my god.
I'm just picturing Pulse on the front of
if we had a camera right now that shows stress, then that would have been comedy gold.
Stress is corpsing and it's putting me off.
Yeah, he was imitating the end of Titanic.
He was. Here comes the unpause though, so back into League of Legends, and hopefully that will be the last pause that we get in this game, so we can crack on. Nearly 16 minutes through the game, and this tower has just been picked up. Take it away, Paul.
That's right, Matt. So anyway, guys at bot lane, Vardax, definitely farming minions. Doris, he's sitting in the bush with his 2 ward friends. Not really doing very much. I think he's waiting for the blue buff. But the spider is here to try and steal that away, and Doris is going to find him out, throws out the auto attack, uses the hit in style, and the Transcendent Blades will zone him away.
Yep, again though, they will be pushing top, and that's going to let Team Property go ahead and apply some pressure down here at bot. Vi's also laid in wait, wants to be jumping in, but nope, decides against it. And this very tense game continues.
Very tense indeed.
Vardak's being chased
I'm hoping
away.
you can hear that on stream. But Phantom Joe is trading now against Doris, and Nyx is heading around the corner. Dragon Descent will get him to safety, and the Burnout as well will get him towards his turret, and indeed his jungle on his side of the map.
Yep, he will manage to escape. And some more pings at bot lane are coming down right now. Sunny and Bonaparte, in fairness, have been doing an okay job of keeping themselves close, considering that they both died at bot lane. But that's mainly due to the fact that their lane's been constantly pushed afterwards. They're able to just sit back really deep and allow the minions to come to them.
Indeed, and My Nightmare will be assisted, in fact, by Flumus, who is just helping him out, taking this white. It is indeed Larry, right? No, it isn't. It's Barry White down at the bot lane, and he will be taken away.
Barry White.
Bot lane, Barry White.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Also known as Walter White.
Well,
I saw that from Stress. He's quite angry.
all things being said, here comes Shaka though. He's going to find himself Nightmare, and also Phantom Joe is being forced backwards. Bonaparte as well. He's put the plant down to try and slow them from escaping on that side, but Vardax is waiting for this one. Now Shaka's going to potentially be going in with the Vault Breaker. Does connect it onto Phantom Joe, but because of all the farm, both Shyvana and Irelia are extremely tanky.
Indeed, and celebrations are going off in the hall as well with that impressive play. But constantly, we're just seeing these two teams butting heads, and nothing is really giving. And you said, where's the breaking point in this game, Messes? And the answer is, not yet. For 18 minutes into the game, again, Alternate go after the dragon, and this time finally get it for themselves. That's 2 dragons to 1 now. Alternate kind of drawing and stabilizing the goals totals between the team, and maybe Doris and Nyx are caught out of position. The spear comes through, does manage to land, but that zone, the Hextech minefield, will be keeping them away. And both these teams are very good at zoning in the other, and that's kind of why we're not really seeing too much happening when we see the interactions.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. A lot of wave clear as well on both sides, so that definitely is one of the determining factors to why that's the 4th tower now falling in 20 minutes. And why it hasn't been more, why there hasn't been more kills as well. That's in total, what, 7 objectives, because 3 dragons have gone down, 2 for property, 1 for alternate. And as you can see, there is a 3,000 gold, just under 3,000 gold advantage in property's favor. They are currently 0-1 in the group. Alternate are out, whatever happens here, but they're on for the pride as the Mega Inferno Bomb goes in. It won't be securing any kills. Repel up there from Elise, but they're doing a lot of nice damage onto that secondary mid-tower.
Alternate are basically the gatekeepers of the playoffs right now for Team Property. They are the only thing, well, including NIP, but before them, they're the first gate keeping them away from the playoffs. And we'll see if they can stop them dead in their tracks. And it does appear to be the case.
Right now, they are... Oh, they caught Sunny with a Dark Binding. That's going to be the Stranglethorns as well, knocking up Ziggs. And somehow, again, nobody falls down, but that was incredibly close. Sunny in the front lines, nearly getting punished.
There's many injuries, there's many broken limbs, but no one is down for the count. And they are still alive to fight for another day. They will not be sitting on the fountain for too long. Will they be going for home guards though? Have they forced them to go for that? Shaka takes the cocoon, and a nice explosive volatile spiraling will at least deal some damage. But they take the tower, they back off, job done.
Yep, and they were on the recipient end of the first 2 towers that were destroyed, but they've got the next 3. Now, it's all an alternate to bounce back. And, you know, mid compared to top, I would definitely rather have mid towers down personally, because this allows you to go into your enemy's jungle pretty much whenever you please, as long as you have ward coverage down. And as you can see, they've planted the 2 wards there, one on the red buff side, one on the blue buff side, and they want to try and lock all of these hasty camps down.
Exactly, there's no safe haven, there's no sanctuary of that turret for them to run back to. And you can see how fast Sunny just evaporates the middle turret, turning that into dust and rubble very quickly. That was the first tower we've seen go down from Alternate since the start of the game. They are starting to pick up the pace again.
Well, hopefully for them, this is the first of many. Let's have a look at some of the items being built around the board. Feeling that surely... Yeah, I was going to say Nidalee must be on quite a stack of gold. Just under 2,000, finishes off the Needle's Large Rod, which is would suggest that Rabadon's death cap is the
imminent.
next... Say again, sorry?
Imminent
Yes,
is
certainly.
indeed the next item to come out. That's fairly standard. The Fiends and Holy Grail and the death cap is very standard for a lot of mid lanes at the moment, Metas. It's kind of the run-of-the-mill build, and it gives you everything you want. Gives you the mana, gives you the regen. In team fights, will give you a portion of your mana back on kills and assists, and then with the extra damage just from death cap.
Yeah, again, Irelia with Triforce, nothing new there, nothing really out of the ordinary, but it is a nice spike in damage. Although it is kind of late by Irelia's standards, so Norris is lagging behind where Irelia would normally be, but of course you have to factor in that with all the early towers that were picked up, it's difficult to really gauge this. There is going to be an engage on Bonaparte.
They will indeed, and the Mega Inferno Bomb comes across and they just destroy Bonaparte. He gets blown away, and Nyx comes on up. We'll see if they can get anything else done. That's going to be a no, but they will carry on sieging. Meanwhile, Sunny in the bot lane didn't even see him and apparently needed the team property. He's taken one tower and he is shredding through that minion wave. Can alternate at least keep them at bay. They are trying to go after the minions. That is their main objective here, Metas.
Yep, they got the pick and they very nearly converted it into yet another tower. Been pretty heavily smacked upon. Seem to go down just yet, but there is Jinx picking up her tower at the bot lane, so they have to be careful here because Jinx will keep pushing if they don't punish alternate for this move.
And now they are still pushing. They did manage to stop them from recalling. Snow will take the binding. They won't be able to pick up the kill. But Jinx, did she pick up another turret? The answer is yes. So 2 towers for basically 2 in the end. So does that one play, that one great play from Sunny, evened up the odds? Yes, there was a kill going to property on top of that, but they did at least salvage the situation.
Just the 3 kills in this game at nearly 24 minutes, but all action has been breaking loose in terms of objectives. 10 towers have fallen, 3 dragons have fallen as well. And when it comes to those team fights, I'm quite curious actually, Pulse. When it does come to the team fights, who do you favour?
We have to see where the farm's been going, Metas, because we've mentioned this being a fairly objective-based game, farm-based game, but that means it's accelerated the gold totals past where it would usually be in a quote-unquote standard game. So where's the gold been dropping? Well, Nidalee has a lot on herself, so there's the counterpart of Ziggs in the mid lane, that being Nyx rocking out that champion. So in terms of a straight-on fight, you have to feel Ziggs is going to be slightly stronger, but you have the execute potential from Jinx, and also the AoE ultimates from the supports, but Nidalee is more about poking them down before getting into a fight, instead of going all the way in, which is what they're trying to do right now. Shaka just managed to use the Vault Breaker to retreat and get to safety, but Dragon is alive, and Sunny will just rip through this one in no time at all. Indeed, the Javelin will go towards that cause, and already it's gone down. The Execute and the Smite from Nightmare will secure the objective, bringing that to 2-2 Dragons.
At 2.2k gold difference as well, so still incredibly close matchup. Irelia and Jinx are going to be in the solo lane right now, and if I was Sunny, I'd be very, very careful at this stage. Does have a Bloodthirster and Phantom Dancer, so he's going to be able to rip through champions, but Irelia is a whole different league.
And Irelia, you look at the Trinity Force and like, well, we just saw a Trinity Force be picked up by Irelia at 15 minutes. Why is this special? But right now, well on the way to the second damage item, and this is more of a standard game for Irelia. Maybe a little bit further behind, but can definitely completely out-trade Shyvana, because 60 CS difference in the top lane has just been exacerbated from that start, and it's not going to change.
I'm also curious as well that typically Irelia used to go for Blade of the Rune King, and now we're seeing a lot more Zephyr, which we saw actually yesterday. Double daggers, oh, okay, that's pretty much just answered my question.
Yeah,
I was going to say, where do you think it's going?
Oh yeah,
Stinger.
Stinger.
Well, well then.
Well, that was a good question.
Anticlimactic.
So, Pulse, what do you think?
I think it might be a Zephyr.
Yeah, it might be.
It could be.
I'm no expert, but sting it into Zephyr doesn't take a rocket scientist. And Shaka,
I like your smile.
just emoting away, and you can just see that morale is still high, you know? Like Shaka, just you seeing that from the game is probably just chatting away on TeamSpeak, cracking jokes, and that's important. And you can see it in this team. They are not showing any signs of cracking.
That's a very good point, actually, because if you have the good mentality and you start getting momentum behind you, that can win you games. Like we've talked about this loads of times in the past when we've casted the Challenger tournaments in particular, that if a team starts to go on tilt and they press that self-destruct button, that can be where it starts to go down. But Phantom Joe, Dragon's Descent into 3 players. He should be getting taken down. There we go. Irelia will finish that one off for the 4th kill on Team Property, and more importantly, it's going to be another tower.
How far are they going to go with this, Messes? They have Jinx. Surely Alternate are going to be faster, but I think they're opting towards the base race. They're all going for this, and yeah, it looks like Nyx is like, guys, I don't think we're going to win this. Jinx is on the enemy team. They take one, they take the inhibitor turret, and another tower on top of that. They're going to carry on going. They have a cannon minion wave behind them. Yeah, probably are pulling out. They're saying, abort, abort, we're going to start losing Nexus turret. Bardax was so close to dropping, and finally they do get the wave clear up.
And they changed their mind like 3 times. They tried recalling, then cancel, then recalling, then cancel. And in doing so, they did kind of nothing. Irelia did manage to push down the inhibitor herself at the bottom lane. So in that sense, it wasn't a completely lost cause, but they did lose a lot for that push.
That was very, very smart by Alternate, though. Just pushing down the mid lane and seeing them in bot. And it's like, usually a team who is behind would say, okay, guys, we need to go defend the base and stall them out. But they said, well, we have Jinx. We can go blow for blow in this battle. We are an objective-taking team. Right now, we probably can't go for a 5-on-5 toe-to-toe fight and take them in the arena. But what we can beat them at is taking the towers.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is that, like, Lucian's no slouch when it comes to picking up towers. He has his Light Slinger passive, so if he starts firing off abilities, he can also take towers down quickly, but he's nowhere near a Jinx level of tower destruction. So again, that is something that Property are going to have to keep in mind, because if they slip like that again, they will lose their Nexus.
Yeah, it is game over at that point. After taking the inhibitor as well, they will have super minions there, and that will just tank those Nexus turrets for days. So that is not a slip-up they can afford to make happen, and will that mean they'll be more defensive? Because they've always been on the offensive throughout this game, Metas. Will that mean that they'll just take a respite?
Not sure. I think it's a tough one to call right now, because that would have probably been a shock to the system for Team Property, thinking that they were the ones in charge, and then suddenly realizing, oh, wait a second, no, we're not, and we could lose this game, or at least a Nexus tower, which is really important. So I'm not sure. Judging by how they're moving, though, Team Property haven't been phased that much. They're still going to lurk around mid. They're still going to try and do what they've been doing the entire game, and that's dictating the pace of the action. And it's really, the onus is on Alternate now to land a few spears from Nidalee and then convert that into kills. Like, that's what they need to do right now, because if Nidalee doesn't land spears, their team comp isn't that strong.
Yeah, it falls apart, basically. And the spears coming through are just tagging minions, and they are dropping one by one, or their life bars are disappearing in one javelin. But that's a minion who is taking the body blow for the champions, which is really where this game is decided, and none of them are finding its mark. I have not seen a javelin hit a champion in quite a long time.
I haven't felt the pain yet of seeing a Nidalee javelin half-health somebody or worse, and that's always a bad sign when you're playing as Nidalee in mid, especially when you've got the chance to farm for as long as Snow has. You know, you'd be expecting those javelins to be coming in thick and fast and landing. Right now, you can see that Property are lurking around Baron area, just trying to get that ward control down and hoping they can catch out their opposition.
Well, Shaka goes in and goes very offensive onto Bonaparte, gets the Flame Chompers to cut off the route. Phantom Joe teleported in, and, well, that's your team fight.
That was 2 ultimates expended on the support that they didn't even kill.
Yeah.
So now Team Property have to be very careful. Nice poke, though, from Ziggs, lands on 4 players, but they have a Nidalee, so the heals are going to be coming in as well. And this is why Nidalee is such a strong sieging champion. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on the Javelin, but what they'd failed to take into account is the heal as well is actually really good, especially when you get high AP.
Indeed. And that was bizarre, that last ultimate, and then the follow-through of the culling. Obviously, the culling was on top of just assuming it was going to be a full-blown fight, but at least the ultimate will be up. It's about 50% cooldown so far. Did give Alternate maybe a possibility to do something, but the Predator is closing in on the prey, and Sunny is not in good shape. The flash into the Transcendent Blades and the Blade Surge. He gets the pick, and that will inevitably mean the Baron.
That is terrifying for Alternate. They've lost their AD carry for 35 seconds. They're going to lose the Baron as well, and Shyvana can't even move from bottom lane because minions are pushing. and they are pushing aggressively. So Baron goes down. You know, I've got to give mad props as well to Doris. He had a very difficult game last time around. This time, he's really stepping up for his team.
Yeah, he's found redemption, basically.
Yeah.
Going 0-5 from now going 2-0-1 with 2 big damage items and a pick that gave them the Baron. And we don't know, but it could be game-winning. So that all stemmed off of that one play. I think he can be proud of that.
Oh, definitely. To have the vision and the kind of awareness to say, hold on a second, Jinx is out of position here, I'm going to teleport and kill her, which ultimately will get you the Baron as well. I mean, that is a very good call indeed, and Property certainly bouncing back after that previous defeat. So let's see if they can keep this one forward, though, because one of the stories of the day are teams taking advantage and failing to convert that into a win. We saw that previously with Reason Gaming beating Alternate themselves, and Alternate had an 11,000 gold lead. So let's hope for Team Property's sake that they don't follow suit there.
An Alternate couldn't win, remember, even with that huge gold lead. So can they win being behind? That's the question here. So if they can't win with 9,000 gold, 11,000 gold, or whatever it was from the other game, that's pretty scary, and that has to be preying on their minds. And do we know if they're a team who can stay together? Do they have that unit cohesion that, honestly, Property probably do?
Yeah, Property right now, they've been in a war these last couple of days coming through the BYOC tournament. They have been playing a lot of games, and you can see that it's starting to come to fruition here for them. It's not over just yet, though. All things considered, there isn't a huge goal deficit at 33.5 minutes. Only 4,000. That really isn't game-breaking at all.
Not at all. But with this open inhibitor, they are definitely still on the offensive. But as you mentioned, there's a spear, and that hurt quite a lot. And I think we've found the strength of Nidalee, but we need more than one spear to land.
That's it. It's the consecutive spears that make Nidalee a terror. One randomly, yes, it's painful, yes, it may stop them from pushing, but it's not going to get you objectives. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what Alternate need. They're the ones with the back against the wall, they're the ones under the cosh, and if they can't get a couple kills and turn that into objectives, it really doesn't matter.
And especially in a situation like this, where you have Baron regeneration, Doris is so confident he doesn't have minions, he'll just bat away at the tower anyway, and he'll go for the fight.
Yeah, Shaka goes in, Mega Inferno Bomb afterwards. Lucian is going to try his luck with the culling, but all things considered, Alternate come away from this one unscathed. Nobody has dropped. The inhibitor is very vulnerable, more than likely will be going down. Indeed, it has done so. Flash in there, I think, from Zyra. At least the Thorns will be landing, and now it's going to be turning this one back around. Somehow Shaka gets in and picks himself up the 6th kill of this game.
Will pick up that one and jumps forwards. The double flash comes through from both of those players, meaning that he will not be locked down, that being from Snow. So 1-0, and Doris, meanwhile, is just going tunnel visioned on the top lane, and he doesn't need to listen to the calls of his team. They're like, we don't need you for team fights. We're actually doing pretty okay by ourselves 4v5.
And also, correction, it wasn't a flash from Zyra. I was tricking myself.
It was a sleight of hand.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly what it was. Unfortunate to wait this long to pull that one out, though.
He was planting thoughts in your mind.
Oh, dude, no. Planting, really?
Outplayed. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Team Property are sieging away with their bare bones. They do not have any more minions. They will have another few coming through in around 15-20 seconds as they hobble towards that tower. We would call that a hobble, more than like a waddle. That's a good joke. I like that.
10 out of 10 would listen to again.
And no doubt Shaka will be pressing that button.
Yeah, definitely. Are pushing mid. I hope that the audience can hear this as well, so we don't just sound crazy when talking about this stuff. But regardless, Team Property, they're trying to push in. Cocoon misses from point-blank range. The Black Shield came down slightly afterwards. They are going to be engaging on this one, but Dragon's Descent is not going to be paying off a Phantom Jar. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Did he whiff it?
I believe Vi knocked him back with the Vault Breaker mid-air, and yeah, I'm getting confirmation from Stress, who also saw that. That was an interesting interaction. That was not the word that I was expecting to come out of my mouth, but it's the one I deserved.
I swear you're trying to put me off today, dude. Where you are.
Well, after the Titanic came on, I'm not really sure what's happening with this game.
Bangle Thorns went down there from Zyra. That will buy this tower some more time, is the one I was going for. And Just the one inhibitor has fallen, but that can still prove to be pretty detrimental to your tower, your Nexus tower's health.
Very, very, very true. They have just backed off. That's not what I was expecting. They kept up the pressure for a good 2-3 minutes. I was like, okay, guys, we're not really making a dent in the armor. We'll just back on out. And with an inhibitor turret down and an inhibitor exposed, and also actually in Rebels, they just gave up the fight.
They have, but they have managed to go back and pick up some more items. So it's something we haven't really talked about too much in this game, but the items themselves are fairly standard. There's nothing there that's really sticking out to me. Randu and Zomans, as you'd expect, there's 2 of them. In fact, there are none on the side of Alternate, which is kind of surprising considering that you're against an Irelia and a Vi and also a Lucian.
Yeah, it is questionable at this stage, honestly. Maybe just not really concentrating all that hard in this game. And when you've been behind, maybe not necessarily game-breaking, as you mentioned, it's only 4K before and it's still only 4K now, which will be increased by this dragon going towards property. But just the fact that you are behind is a state of mind more than anything.
Yep, dragon has just been picked up as well.
Bye.
Look, let's talk about how Alternate are going to claw their way back into this game. Because, again, all things considered, it sounds and seems a lot more one-sided than this game actually is. It seems on paper that Property have pretty much got this game in the bag, but if this tournament's taught us anything, it's that comebacks are real. And they do happen a lot in League of Legends. What can Alternate do in this situation?
The fact that Property are so close to Alternate's base means it's easier to go back to base, go back into the fight, okay, you take some poke and then you go back in again, and then effectively you have more team health. And that's what they have on their side right now, and with the game being so close, especially with Nidalee, that poke is going to last. And now Baron is respawned. This will be dragging Alternate out to the base, so if they find themselves a fight and if they win this one, then they will be able to make a lasting impression. But Doris again is pushing the top lane, and I'm not even sure if they're going to bother contesting. They don't have vision, they must have known, and it goes down, and that's yet another Baron going to the team of Team Property without Alternate doing anything. They stepped out of the base, they stepped back in again, but maybe this is the confidence boost, the morale boost that they need to go one step further.
Yeah, they committed to stopping Irelia, and in doing so, they couldn't stop Baron as well. They simply don't have enough people right now with enough items on them. Jinx also, I don't know if you caught it, but popped her ultimate just to scout out for vision on Baron as well, just to see if anyone was starting it. So, again, it's not even the case that they had all their ultimates available for them. Now that is going to be a Baron up Team Property, as if things weren't bad enough before for Alternate. Now they're going to have to contend with this too. The inhibitor is back up, but for how long is the key question. I don't think it's going to stay up for too much longer.
Yeah. Does not look like that objective is going to be standing tall for very long. There's a spear onto Vardags, chunks him down to 40% HP. Reminder that Snow has been farming for the last 39 minutes. And you can see that in his CS score. Ultimate comes through and also hits Vardags. He will be taken out of the action for a while. And Phantom Joe going toe-to-toe with Doris. And this is not a fight he's going to win. And he knows it. Dragon's Descent will get him to safety.
Trying his best to stop this push from Irelia because he knows that as soon as he has to go back, then the split push is in effect. This 4-0-1 formation. Ooh! Nick taking that one though, and that did certainly sting. So now Phantom Joe has bought himself up enough time though to go ahead and go back, but he doesn't have his Dragon's Descent after this because he popped it all of, what, 20 seconds ago.
Oh, Bonaparte, that is not the place you want to be, and the ultimate comes through before Dax. He was just taken down by a javelin, didn't even catch that. I was looking at Bonaparte, all the projectiles flying his way, and it just needs one projectile to make sure he is down for the count.
That's a 50-second, in fact it was about 55-second, but 45 seconds remaining on it now, death timer, which completely now takes Team Property in a position where they're like, okay, well, hold on a second, we have to back away. Like, if we lose another 2 or 3 players, we could start to actually lose our inhibitor again, maybe even the Nexus Tower, maybe even the game if it's an ace. So they're instantly going to back on the way, and maybe that's the answer to the question I posed before, how you get back in this game as Alternate, is get Snow to land a few javelins.
The Nidalee is really starting to show its strength, and considering we were saying before, we haven't really seen any javelins landing was never too late to start, especially when the game was as close as this. If you were 10k behind at this point, you'd be saying to yourself, okay, maybe it's too late, but with it being 57k, okay, there's a larger goal disparity now than we were talking about before, but that's mainly because of the Barons that have been going all to property, all these global objectives. But if you look at these fights, these skirmishes, you wouldn't see the difference if you had your hand over the goal totals.
The thing as well is at a certain point in League of Legends, gold stops mattering. When players have 5 or 6 items all, gold doesn't mean anything anymore. So there is going to be a time in this game, if we get, fast forward another 10-15 minutes, if we're in a similar position where, hell, property could be 30k ahead, it doesn't matter. And that's something that maybe Alternate are trying to piece together, that they realize they have the poke nuking capabilities of a Nidalee on their side, and if they do land a couple on the likes of Vardag, as they did before, he's going to have to back himself away, and that's when they're going to go for the juggler and engage.
But what happens from here on out in the next couple of minutes? What is the game plan? Property, they picked up the Baron, they still couldn't push. What's going to change now? Nidalee Spears are only ever going to carry on hurting more. You mentioned when we get to 5-6 items, that's where it kind of stops mattering, of course, 6 items at that point, but Nidalee's only going to get stronger. Has the Zhonya's Hourglass to go, and he needs 550 gold to finish that off with the Nidalee Large Rod and Seeker's Arm Guard. So he's very close to 4 items plus his Sorcerer's Boots. And he'll just be moving towards this last item. Of course, is a 2-way street. Sunny needs to not take the poke from Ziggs.
Yeah, I think Doris is going to be instrumental if Team Property are going to win here. As I just heard Nick taking just another Javelin there from Nidalee, but did pick up the inhibitor regardless. And that is going to be the next objective on the cards for Team Property. In fact, Doris is going back in for seconds. Dragon's Descent's available for Phantom Joe, so he's going to be safe whatever happens.
Doris is hungry, but he has nothing to really chew on. Like, he has the Shyvana there, he has the armor, but because he's just basically stacking armor, is kind of what I meant to say, is that he's not able to do very much. And oh, Vardag's very close to taking and receiving a Javelin. But he is the only instrument on their team to make any headway, that being Doris, and he's hit a brick wall in the form of Shyvana.
That is true. Good guy stress hovering over Ghost Bride Morgana as she does go ahead and recall. But I think that's a good point that you made, that Shyvana is now at the stage where the true definition of attack, you're not breaching it anymore.
Yeah, and has some damage there as well. Also has the Blade of the Ruin King, which is basically the one damage item you need as Shyvana, and then you're kind of good to go. Doris finishes off the dragon, takes more objectives, but that's not really going to change the state of affairs, the pace of the game, or the state of the game, in fact, matters. So 6-1, the kill totals really haven't changed for a long time. Gold totals, however, have, and it is still increasing. Now about 9,000 gold. Towers are still exactly where they were. The only objectives that have been taken down have been inhibitors in terms of base objectives, and those will respawn.
Also, to put this game into perspective, we are in Group A of DreamHack Summer 2014 League of Legends Tournament, and Team Property is 0-1 in their group right now. To take it into a 3-way tie, they'd have to win this game and then beat NIP in the next game, and that would therefore put them in contention to go through to playoffs. So this game is super important. Alternate will not get through whatever happens. Doris has been caught out here, and that is going to be Stranglethorns. They're using a lot, though, to secure this kill. Not able to do so. Shaka now comes around from the side. There's the Ziggs ultimate as well, and now everything has just exploded in a matter of seconds. You can see Dragon's Descent going back in, and Shaka is very low right here. Flash out, though, from Phantom Joe. Culling as well from Lucian, and nobody's fallen apart from Nightmare from Doris.
And this is the first kill of the fight. Can they find another? Vardags will be flashing over the Flame Jumpers, but that signals the end of this engagement. But the death timers are so long at this stage. Matters 50 seconds now on to Nightmare before he returns to the playing field. 7-1. Now can they make something happen? Can they make a lasting impression? Looks like the answer is going to be a resounding no. Baron is not even on the board, and Property is so injured from the last engagement, they're going to say, okay, we'll go back to base. In fact, Baron just spawned, so they will turn around, pop over the wall, start to go for this one, and Alternate are not in position to stop it. And I would say at this point, oh, Metas, they picked up the Baron, therefore they're going to carry on pushing, they'll have the extra regen, they'll be able to take these towers. They've picked up 2 Barons now. This is now the 3rd. is this the last one that they need? It seems like Barons have done nothing for them.
Well, of course, it is going to give them extra stats, extra regen, which is always going to be helpful against Nidalee. But what I would quite like to see here, and in fact, fair enough, Lucian's going for it. That's a Banshee's Veil. I'd like to see him pick a Banshee's Veil up for his defensive item, just so that he can block out the spears that are coming in. In actual fact, is Ziggs going for one as well? No, he's not, but I would like to see him with the Banshee's Veil next as well. That would therefore stop a lot of the terror that is coming out from Nidalee, which, as we said before, is key to their success in their composition. You need picks to then engage on.
Snow is definitely the linchpin. He is what is keeping them in this game and allowing them to hold on. Banshee's Veil will indeed help them towards that, and as you mentioned, the mid laner of Nyx is going to be picking up the Spectre's Cowl, which indeed does build into Banshees, and then we'll see him build a Spirit Visage, and then we'll be like, what? That's a possibility, but fairly unlikely. I don't think he'll be benefiting too much from that one.
Yeah, with all of his health regen abilities.
Yeah. Well, if he had a Will of the Ancients as well, items synergy, bro.
I think I'd rather just get a Banshees.
Yeah.
So you don't lose damage in the first place.
That would be the smart choice.
I'm just throwing it out there. Call me crazy, but, you know, Banshees is the way
Maybe
that
he
I'd
missed
be going.
things. But then there's the undo button.
Then again, you know, after that recorded Titanic song, anything's possible.
I don't know what's real. I don't know what's fantasy.
So, again though, Team Property, they have the Baron, and they are trying to make something happen. Doris has gone back in again on Phantom Joe, but he's just coming out against the very scary, very strong Shyvana. Shyvana is going to have to back away eventually, but is stalling this one out for long enough.
And it does mean that the inhibitor should be falling any second now, and he is chunking away at it. There we go, the inhibitor goes down once again, but that is no change in pace. That's no change in story. We've seen this happen multiple times before. This is deja vu moment, not only once, but twice. We've been here so many times, and we're looking for a pick, but Alternate haven't really slipped up until now. Snow gets locked up and will be going into Zhonya's, but they're already on top of him. He gets the slam and gets the dunk, gets the kill from Shaka, and Sunny will be going to their back lines. One versus the back line. What are you doing there? Now, with the rest of the team just going to kill him once again. This is disastrous from Team Alternate and may spell the end of the game. Bo in the pod is also going to get destroyed by Doris as he also enters the fight. 2 versus 4. Can they do it, Metas? It's not looking like it's going to be the case.
Now, a second inhibitor has fallen. You got 50-second timer on Bonaparte, 53 on Sunny, and 40 on Snow. Team Property, they have a couple of low members, but they should finish the game right here, right now.
This is dire straits. If they are going to pull a comeback, it's going to be down to the wire. The first Nexus turret falls. Phantom Joe, in fact, they know the gig is up. They just go back to base. And this will be the Nexus falling. Almost a 50-minute game for Team Property to go on to playoffs, which is tomorrow. It will be 2 semi-finals in a best-of-3 format, followed by the grand finals. Again, also in a best-of-3. So a potential 9 games tomorrow.
Oh, yes. Lots more League of Legends.